Welcome in Tuesday morning edition, Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham, Neal, McCready, Clark Ford Studio here with you today. Ole Miss and Georgia tonight, 6 o'clock from Athens. Mike White, Kermit Davis, Rebels, Bulldogs, all that stuff. We'll tell you the pertinent information that's going on with that elsewhere around the SEC today and tomorrow. Also, I don't know. There's just some football stuff. There's things. There's a Super Bowl. I don't know. We're going to talk to you. It almost kind of feels like July a little bit, and it's because of the basketball situation that's going on, where there's typically on February the 7th, I don't walk in and Neal goes, "Hey, what are you talking about today?" And I had to kind of look at my notebook and look back up and went, "It'll be something. That's fine." You do 2,500 of these at some point. You just talk and things come out of your mouth. But nonetheless, we'll get through it.
It's not bitching.
No.
Just keeping it real. It's one of those things where people want us to do a show that is predominantly college sports, understandably. There are topics that people really don't want us to go into because it's limited to a minority of listeners who are interested, which is fine. But football's 7 months away. No matter how much you want to hype up football, and God knows people do, it's 7 months till they play a game. It's a full month and a half before they have a spring practice.
We don't know the roster.
They
don't know the roster.
In a different world. So you got that. You've got a baseball season that starts in 10 days, but it's going to be a different baseball season for people. I'm just telling you. I remember 2017 as a Cubs fan, and it was different. It was just different. There's no angst. And the truth is, we've gotten a lot of mileage off the angst.
Off angst, yeah.
And there is no angst. 2-7 stretch in the SEC is just a 2-7 stretch in the SEC. That's all it is. And so it's different. And the truth is, the beginning of the college baseball season is kind of meaningless. And so we've got that. And so this is the time of year that we're cyclically dependent on basketball. And when the basketball season's been over since the middle of December, and it has, whatever day that was, I was in Boise the day they lost to North Alabama. The basketball season ended that day. And when it ends like that, boy, there's a gap that's just a chasm. It's the Grand Canyon of gaps. So at least in July, you can go, hey, let's do some football.
Yeah.
In February, it's like, really can't do football.
Not really.
Not really. I mean, there are people that do. And they're either significantly better at this than I am, it's just conceivable, or it's all they've got.
Yeah.
They're a one-trick pony, and by God, they're going to play the trick.
They're riding it.
Yeah.
I'm glad, and look, I mean, you're not getting a ton of mileage out of this, but I'm glad at least the non-con and baseball has a couple of things in it that are sort of interesting. They play a top 12 Maryland for 3 games, so you go, okay, team good, that's good.
Sure.
And then they go to Minnesota and do that Big Ten thing in a gimmick park, and you get to kind of do that a little bit. It's better than just going, hey, they play Oakland and then Delaware and then Canisius, and you go, oh, God.
Sure.
Oh, God.
Of course.
God. So, yeah.
But, you'll, in the back of your mind throughout the Maryland thing, you'll be like, is Maryland any good? Don't really know. Hate to make more out of this than it is.
Yeah, Ole Miss beat them 8-1 on Friday, and you go, well, okay.
Well, if they lose 8-1,
yeah.
What does it mean? Nothing. I mean, the truth is, it doesn't mean anything. I mean, the league plays what.
It is still a little bit of a weird thing from a scheduling standpoint. They play Maryland 4 games in a row on the weekend.
Yeah.
Because they open up that tournament in Minnesota with them too, which is kind of strange. But Mike was not aware of the other participants in Minnesota when he scheduled that probably 9 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say that's been on the books for a long time. But, that's my point. People are like, don't talk about this. You're like, okay, we're trying to talk about that. Don't talk about this. Like, okay, we'll try not to talk about that. And then the menu is the exact opposite of like a Chili's menu at this point. There's like, it's half a page.
Yeah. That's what we got.
So like
we spend a lot of time on apps and desserts right now because we got to do something.
It's like a Valentine's Day menu. It's like, okay, you have no choices. Here's what you're having.
The preset menu is the menu.
Yeah.
Yes. So Yes, we're in the wedding menu portion of the season right now, but nonetheless, speaking of food, the Sunriser combo, the Oxford Crystal, you can get the combo $5.99. You get just the Sunriser for $2.99. They're using the larger sausage now, the round sausage. It's a better value for you, frankly. So go in, let them take care of breakfast for you here this morning. The Oxford Exxon, the lunch specials change every single day. That come with any size fountain drink, bread, and more. So I'm stopping in town, out of town, up and down I-55 and throughout North Mississippi as well. It's the Oxford Exxon and coming to you from the Clark Ford studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi. 662-257-1900 is the number. Call it. Ask for Corey Clark. Tell Corey what Ford product you're looking for. He'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You get your quote. The rest completely up to you. You can shop that quote around. You can do what I've done, what I recommend that you do, and that's hop into a Clark Ford today. Great service, great product, obviously, but great service after the sale. Corey wants to be your car guy. He wants to be your truck guy. I'll prove to you what that means when you make the call. 662-257-1900. Guest will join at some point this week on the myperfectfranchise.net hotline. If you're a displaced corporate executive wanting to put your career in your own hands, if you're an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify, well, Andy Ludicky can help. He has multiple franchises and businesses. He uses his expertise to help others find their American dream through a very thorough and free consultation process. So call Andy. Many of you have. Put your life and your career in your own hands. It's 100% free. You've got nothing to lose. Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net or contact Andy anytime at andy@myperfectfranchise.net or 404-973-9901.
Yeah, just closing that conversation. It's what's funny about it, because when you don't have a ton of major topics, you veer off into God knows what. And frankly, people typically like that. The off the wall stuff is what gets more traction most of the time. But you're going to say some really dumb crap over the course of 9 hours every single week, over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Well, especially when
you don't analyze the words, like they're just coming out of your mouth. And later on, you go, "Yeah, it was probably pretty dumb, but okay, whatever, it's fine."
Well, I mean,
it's
literally Laura will come home at lunch and say, "What'd y'all talk about on the podcast?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So you really don't know? I really don't. I mean, I guess if I thought really hard about it, I could remember kind of what we talked about, but.
You wouldn't have a prayer of going, "Hey, last Tuesday we discussed." Yeah,
no.
I mean,
or of remembering something specific.
Yes, I'm saying hey, you had a sentence where you talked about
no chance.
Or what podcast was it on? I don't know. I'm just talked into a mic and things were said.
Yes.
So, what the hell is Iowa doing? I wanted to start with this ever since I saw it yesterday.
Let's touch these super chats before we forget.
Yeah, Kyle, thanks every single day for watching the super chats, everything that you do. I assume you and Tyler talked about Kevin Steele.
We did. We talked about Kevin Steele a lot. So go back and listen to that. Tyler's thoughts on it would be far more compelling than anything that Chase or I would have. I think Chase would agree with that. I don't think that offends him. Steele just wanted to get closer to home. He's a good coach. That's all Saban needs is good coaches. Then the other, the over-under of Biden making it through his State of the Union speech tonight being coherent. I mean, I'll go under, but we'll see. Do you watch the State of the Union? Will you watch it tonight?
I used to pretty religiously.
Yeah.
No, I will pick places that I want to see reaction, and I will read multiple things afterward on some of the key points, but I highly doubt I just turn it on and watch it. No, probably not.
Yeah, I doubt if I watch.
I mean, because it's one of those deals where, I mean, it's like I don't even think his own social media does him any favors. I mean, all political jokes aside, tweets out yesterday that he's got a coffee and cookies and the State of the Union open to the front page where it has, the script, which every politician ever has the exact same script.
Of course.
But it opens it up as, hey, I've got to make sure you know what I mean? To the person who wants to be critical or just is reading it, hey, I've got to mention that my wife is sitting there and the vice president. You know what I mean? Like it just puts a negative connotation on something that is so obvious. close the folder, just show the top of it that you're preparing.
Or
take the cookies out of the picture.
Or
There's just little stuff
open it to the middle of it.
Yeah, it just.
And when you do the coffee and cookies thing, you sort of imply that everything's peachy and that everybody's great, and the reality is,
or you're accentuating that you're kind of old. I mean, depending on it. Just I thought that's bad PR. That doesn't.
Yes.
That.
You don't sit around at work and have cookies with your work.
Not typically. No.
Mm-mm.
No. No. Not typically.
What I will not watch on either side, I will not watch any instant reaction.
That's what I said. I will let everything circulate and then read once people digest and show me, okay, that makes sense. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't.
Ole Miss plays at 6. I will watch the Ole Miss game because I feel like it's my job to watch it. At this point, it is literally a job at this point watching that particular team.
It is your job to watch it.
I will get on the Zoom afterwards. I will try to make some piece of, who am I kidding? It won't be compelling content, but it will be content for those who want content from Ole Miss basketball. I will produce that content. At that point, it'll be about 8:45. I will probably find a college basketball game that's on.
One of those 8 o'clock tips for the second half.
There are some decent 8 o'clock tips tonight. I will find one or two of those. The Lakers and the Thunder play tonight in Los Angeles. It's potentially a historic game.
So that's like a 9 o'clock tip?
It's like 9:30. I won't make it to the end, but I'll turn it on.
Okay.
LeBron can pass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for the career
points
all-time scoring record, which is an incredible accomplishment.
Sure.
I'll turn that on, and I will do everything in my power, and I think I'll be successful to not go watch CNN or Fox or MSNBC or anyone like that who is just going to spin in very predictable manner what is said. Because you already know, if I go to MSNBC, it's the greatest speech of all time. If I go to Fox, he is literally a vegetable. And so if you're just a stranger landing in this country and you watch that, you're like, wait, what? There is no objective coverage of anything political, which I think is dangerous. But maybe it's always been that way. It doesn't feel like it's always been that way. I always think back to when I was a kid. This will be my quick thing, and then we'll go to Brian Ferentz. When I was a kid, one of the memories I have of being a kid was my dad would come home from work. My dad taught at Louisiana Tech in the School of Education, and he would come home from work. Usually got home a little before 5 or sometimes right after 5. And a lot of times he would pop popcorn on one of those like pressure cooker things on the stove. And he would get usually a Miller Lite, okay?
Oh, really? Okay.
It's a Miller Lite. That's what I remember. And he would sit and we would watch the Monroe News on KNOE because I can remember the weather guy. Jack McCall did the weather, and he had this little yellow bird that came out and gave you his name was Freddie. Freddie would tell you what the forecast was for tomorrow. Yeah. It was a little CGI thing. And then Lanny James did the sports. And then it went straight to the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite and then Dan Rather. But I remember Walter Cronkite as a kid, and I just don't remember it being maybe it was in other houses, but in my house, politics wasn't like this fired up thing at all. I can remember even as a little kid, the day of the 1976 election, asking my dad who he voted for, Ford or Carter, and he said, "You don't ever tell people who you voted for."
Did he really?
Mm-hmm. Remember that vividly. I'm like, boy, it's not that way now. It's less than 50 years ago.
I do like kind of the ritualistic part of that. Like you get your drink and the evening news and the local news. You know what I mean? There's something very... Look, today the news isn't wholesome at all, but there's something wholesome about that ritual of like you're getting home and eating and you're spending time with the kids and the news is on. And
then it was over at 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, or some people would watch the national news and then they'd watch the local news at 6 o'clock. But by 6:30, it's
a lot of people had, a lot of places have local at 5 and 6.
Sure.
5, 6, and 10 or your 3.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And sometimes he'd stay up and watch the 10 o'clock news, but usually not. But my point was
Was he dedicated though to the certain national network? Was it always going to be Cronkite or like whatever? Because everybody kind of has their dude in that back in the day.
I mean, I remember we would see like Peter Jennings or I guess it was, I don't know who was before Brokaw at NBC. You'd see some of that, but usually it was CBS. I mean, Cronkite was kind of an institution.
Well, yeah.
You know, and KNOE was the CBS affiliate, so the channel was on whatever channel that was. I guess Channel 2 was what it was. But my point was, as soon as Walter Cronkite or Dan Rather signed off for the night, nobody went to like news shows. Where, I mean, like if you watch, I mean, seriously, if you just watch MSNBC and Fox News and you go back and forth, you are so confused. I mean, you would just be lost. Like, wait. Because one side, everything's great. And the other side, it is burning down. And then if you flip power, they just flip the scripts. It's insanity.
There probably are people that just flip through all of them and try to get the...
I mean, for comedy, you'd get comedy.
I've had kicks where I will turn some cable shows on, but...
I do my...
I found myself reading much more.
Mm-hmm. I do my very damnedest to not turn it on. Like, there's certain ones that... No way. No chance. I don't know how CNN stays in business, by the way. I mean, they're not. They're hurting.
Because they're not far enough either way?
I guess their stuff's just not even compelling. Like, some of the stuff on, Fox is at least kind of almost funny. And the same with MSNBC, where you realize this is just propaganda.
It's one of the things that when I had Hogan Gidley on the podcast a few weeks ago talking about it, was he was talking about how every one of those channels do have news divisions, but you're leaving it up to the consumer to know the difference between the individual personalities, and that's asking way too much from that standpoint, from the infotainment versus the news.
Yeah. And they make so much of their money by being in the bundle.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you let it be completely a la carte,
mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of those networks would struggle. Maybe all of them would struggle.
Right, sure.
But instead, they all kind of get bundled together, which is kind of the funny part. They all sit around and go after each other, but they kind of are interdependent on one another. I mean, like, we have YouTube TV.
Yeah, sure.
So CNN's there, Fox News is there, MSNBC is there, CNBC is there, all that stuff is there. And if you made that completely a la carte, I'm not sure I'd order any of it.
Yeah, I use Hulu Live TV for mine. And if just a la carte, how many channels would you get? 20? Would you have a hard time getting to 20?
Yeah.
Would you get more just because there's going to be some days where you want to flip over? Like, I feel like I would overbuy, even though I probably wouldn't watch. But because, look, if we're being real honest, outside of, hey, this sporting event I want to watch is on some obscure channel.
Yeah.
5 channels in 6 months.
That's what I'm saying. No,
Maybe.
Absolutely. I mean, the network channels.
Yeah, sure. You need the network channels.
ESPN.
Yeah, like I said, the family of networks. The ESPN family of networks.
After that?
Food Network.
I
would get the Golf Channel. My TV doesn't just go to a lot of other channels.
I watch a lot of NFL Network. They have some good programming that I like.
And on the weekend, if I'm not doing anything, I might have like TBS on because there's like a movie that's just on in the background or something along those lines.
I might get I'd get TNT because I like.
You need basketball
stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, could I get to 20 channels that I legit? No. Because we get Paramount for the soccer. Carson watches that.
That's streaming.
That's streaming.
Well, and technically, you could stream the ESPN bundles.
That's true.
It'd be a little more of a pain to flip back and forth from the apps, but it's there.
So, yeah, no, I mean.
Somebody says USA for EPL.
Yeah, USA.
I don't even know what's on USA anymore.
Outside of English Premier League, I have no idea. I guess some movies and stuff.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of, Brian says I'm on YouTube 90% of the time. There's no doubt over the course of a week, I watch more programming on YouTube than I do television. It's not even close. And that might be including games.
And that applies to everyone younger than you.
Yeah, I'm at the tip of the sphere.
Yeah.
The spear.
Because you didn't grow up watching the local news, really. Not the way. I mean, you kind of did.
I grew up only from the standpoint of my great-grandparents raised me, hence every night
Sure.
I saw that they were watching
Sure.
Peter Jennings or Dan Rather or whomever.
Yeah.
At that point. But no. Beyond that,
Carson,
it was never as an adult my programming I was turning on.
My kids don't turn on the local news. I mean, there was a winter storm that hit where they were, and they didn't even know it. Didn't know it was coming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they don't I don't know, just different.
It's different.
But yeah, that wasn't long ago that
I missed the simplicity.
Oh, sure. It wasn't long ago. I would have absolutely watched the State of the Union. And now the State of the Union.
Oh, is that how we got here? Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
The State of the Union would be depressing to me tonight, I think. You see how just freaking divided it is. And it's like, maybe it's always been that way, but it doesn't feel like it's always been that way.
Even the theater of every time I say something, this half is going to clap and this half is not. And then it's just like, okay,
and there's a few on the Republican side that tonight could really get vitriolic because that's part of their shtick.
They're all into shtick except realizing that none of them have any idea what the hell the average middle person is thinking.
Exactly.
Or cares.
Yeah.
So
and there's shtick on both sides.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of it.
Yeah. That's where we are. So, okay. Now got that out of the way. The Ole Miss Athletics Foundation is telling you that the national champions are back for another exciting year of Ole Miss baseball. Starts here in just 10 days. Show your support for their efforts on the field this season by signing up for the Pledge Per Win or Pledge Per Home Run campaigns. Donations are charged every Monday, allocated into your Blue Priority Point total, and are up to 90% tax deductible. Sign up today by visiting give2athletics.com to donate. Call the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation at 662-915-7159. And still remember that the tickets are available for both nights on Morgan Wallen coming to Vaught Hemingway Stadium in April. As low as $79, low as I think $90 for the other day. So tickets available. Good prices on those. MorganWallen.com.
Walk On Sports Bistro puts everything they've got into bringing you game day with the taste of Louisiana. Dig into their mouth-watering, made-from-scratch Louisiana cuisine like po' boys, gumbo, voodoo shrimp, plus fan favorites like juicy burgers, fresh salads, all in front of 70-plus TVs, 40-plus ice-cold beers on tap. You can also order online at walkons.com or on their convenient Walk-Ons app. If you're in Oxford or Jackson, please stop by the locations in Oxford and Ridgeland. Tell them how much you appreciate them sponsoring MPW. The College Corner is your one-stop Rebel Shops. 2 locations in the Jackson area. In Ridgeland, it's next to Fleet Feet. In Flowood, it's next to Half Shell. If you don't live in Jackson, just go to collegecornerstore.com. Plus, you can find them on Facebook and Instagram. They have the largest selection of Rebel gear in Central Mississippi. We're brought to you by Comer Heating and Air, Southern Air Conditioning and Heating, different names, same great products and services. If you live in Oxford, Tupelo, Batesville, the surrounding area, call Comer 662-801-1777. If you live in Hernando, Memphis, South Haven, that area, call Southern 662-429-4429. A-Stock Auctions is a Nashville-based online auction company with the mission to provide customers the power to name their price. All items at A-Stock start at just $1. That's right. Every item starts at just $1. Shop now at astock.bid. Download their app. Name your price on thousands of items from big-name retailers. A-Stock Auctions has multiple locations around Nashville that offer local pickups, so don't miss out. If you want it, bid it, win it. And we're brought to you by Solutions RX. It's a probiotic multivitamin supplement company created by Ole Miss Pharmacy alum Chris Corneliuson. It's pharmaceutical grade. It's manufactured right here inside Mississippi under the highest standards. Listen, if you take diabetes medicine, high blood pressure medication, cholesterol medications, they can typically cause side effects like muscle pain, brain fog, and energy loss due to a depletion of minerals and vitamins in the body. But Chris formulated a product called Prescription Support. It puts those vitamins back into your body, helps with those side effects, helping you stay more compliant, taking your medications, helping you stay healthier over the long term. It's available in local independent pharmacies across the continental U.S., including all across Mississippi, or you can get them on their website, solutionsrx.com. Type in the promo code OEP at checkout. Get 10% off your first order.
Podcast also brought to you by G&M Pharmacy, 662-236-2222. They deliver locally in the Oxford area, and they offer MedSync for your prescriptions the same day each month and take care of you. One trip to the pharmacy, one delivery. You have everything you need when you need it with G&M. They also will transfer your medications easily. One call, they take care of the rest. Again, 662-236-2222. So, as I was mentioning a second ago, Iowa, they had the number one statistical defense in the country last year. They had one of the absolute worst offenses in the country last year. Cade McNamara, former Michigan quarterback, is now the quarterback at the University of Iowa.
Heisman.
Yes. Brian Ferentz Kirk Ferentz did not fire his son in the offseason. Kept him. He's the offensive coordinator in charge of that crap show on that side of the ball.
Walk into your house and tell Carrie you're going to fire Carly Ann. Tell me how it's going to go over.
Well, the thing is, you don't hire to begin with because that creates the issue.
That's not what I said.
That is the issue here,
That's
right?
not what I said. Go in and say, hey, what
do you think?
Firing our daughter.
What do you think the wife, like, do you think she has like a bunch of excuses bottled up for why it went poorly? Or do you think it's just, I know he sucked, but I don't care. You're not firing him. You've got enough capital to make that happen. Or do you think she pitches to Kirk?
I just think she says,
in the evening,
you know that dish you like so much? If you want it, don't fire our son. You want to sleep on the couch? Don't fire our son.
While he brings down your career.
Yeah, he's made so much money. He's good.
Okay.
They went to a bowl game and won it.
They did. So here's the deal. This is going to be one of the better stories throughout 2023, especially if the offense is kind of right on that border of what I expect it to be, because there is zero middle ground here in this contract the school announced yesterday. So they're cutting his pay $50,000. So off the top, I think he's making $850 instead of $900,000.
That's correct.
Is the number.
That's correct.
But here's the clause that's fun. Iowa must average at least 25 points per game next season while the program wins at least 7 games.
Okay.
If both those marks are not reached, if either is not reached, he's fired.
Okay.
That's it. Iowa averaged 17.7 points per game last season. So they need more than a touchdown increase here going into 2023. By the way, I have the number of people that that did it last year. Give me 1 second. 85 schools averaged at least 25 points per game last season. 85. Okay. So Iowa was not in the top 100 of total offense last year.
So we open up with Utah State.
Here's the better part, though, before you do this.
Because we're going to light them up.
Here's the caveat. It does not say offensive points per game.
Oh, no, because the defense
Iowa's going to score some defensive points.
Hell yeah.
So that is going to help.
That's what we do
in this process.
Yeah, we're good. We're going to be fine. You got Cade McNamara and we get defensive points? No problem. We're going to light Utah State up like a Christmas tree.
They do. They're worse than usual.
You're going to put 60 up on Utah State.
See, that is the funny part of this.
Build the average.
They're going to run it up, aren't they? Suddenly, he's going to be running games up.
I wouldn't stop.
Different than in past years.
Cade's going to be like, hey, can I come out? Nope. Don't have 70 yet, Cade. Get Iowa State in week 2 at home.